Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and of course, all of you are co hosts on the show as we talk today all things science fiction and tabletop role playing games. Okay, so um, this week in somewhat celebratory conversation about Independence Day here in the United States and the Fourth of July celebrations, I said, well, how can we twist that idea? How can we use that as mind fuel for our world building and such? And so today on Future Friday, we can't get away from one of the one of the most classic action comedy movies ever to be produced, and that's Independence Day. And it made me think about really the last portion of that movie and other intellectual properties thereof that have used this exact concept, and that is alien invasion and alien arrival and whatnot. And the last part of that movie shows some pretty interesting images of these giant sized saucer ships crash landing onto the earth, and people, fists raised in the air, of course, AK-47s raised above the heads, and everyone's like cheering because we've defeated the aliens. And as we talked all week long, it's the aftermath of it is oh well, that's interesting, but now what do we do? And I thought we it would be a great starting point for us to just come up with a bunch of a bunch of really fun, interesting, and dramatic hooks that we can use, whether we're role playing or world building or something like that, and use that as our mind fuel as a starting point, and maybe we can even spawn off from there. Yeah, the official name is ID4 Independence Day. I didn't remember it being called ID4. I think we all just called it Independence Day, which is funny because I think there are other movies called Independence Day that don't get any love, but that one's pretty fun. Gotta admit, it's very fun. Uh, and off camera, just before we started, we were going off a little bit about the recent release, The Tomorrow War, on Amazon, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I it's getting kicked in the corner by the bullies, and I just feel like I need to lift up the Tomorrow War and brush off its shoulders and say it'll be all right. I feel sorry for you because people are ripping that movie apart. It's crazy, but it does bring up a point about something that is intrinsic in us individuals who feel that we are a little bit more brilliant than a little bit, and that is the sometimes our premises of alien invasions and things of that nature. Sometimes they're good, and then there's other times where you can just like pick apart the reasoning why. Now, if you're a more along the lines of like a real science and physics and things like that, you end up realizing that alien invasions themselves are a little unrealistic in their portrayal, because if an alien society has the ability to travel, you know, light years, tens of light years, hundreds, thousands of light years, millions of years, vast distances and such, it's pretty it's pretty reasonable to understand that they probably have enough technology that they don't need to come to Earth to get anything. They whatever they needed to get here, they've already gotten it before they got here in the first place. I've heard of people rip apart like the aliens from the Man of Steel movie. They're the Kryptonians, and they have a terraforming machine, a device, and it's going to destroy the Earth. Someone was like, "Why did they just go to Mars? There's nothing there. They have a terraforming device. They could go anywhere and rebuild their society. Come to Earth." Ask for the codex. Of course, we understand the codex is inside of Kal-El, but like, ask for the codex and like, hey, listen, we're going to build a society next door. Do you guys mind? I mean, I'm like, wow. So yes, there's lots of alien invasion movies where they're here for resources or I don't know I, to eat people or something like that. But I think the fun part of thinking about that is what happens after the war, and in in our discussions this week, we were talking about the heroes have defeated the great evil. So, what if humanity has destroyed? They've stopped the alien invasion. The spaceships have crash landed on the Earth, or they're like orbiting the Earth as the destructive pieces, and we're like, yay! And okay, well now what? What happens? Is there do do the world governments cordon off the areas around the alien spacecrafts and ensure that people don't steal merchandise from them and put them on the black market? What about surviving aliens? Are they going to be dragged in the streets and strung up by their necks as people throw canned goods and rotted fruits and veggies? I don't know why people would have them hanging around, but they throw things at them, while they're hanging from light posts in the streets. Are will there really be a black market with, pickup trucks loaded up with, half fired energy cell laser cannons, sold on the black market or something like that? What happens with if the world governments united together to stop this onslaught? Do they start to instantly shatter and back off into their own corners and become a cold war, as like the canceled television show Debris? Are there going to be like, one government's trying to recreate the interstellar engines they use, and another one's trying to recreate the force fields they used, and yet another one is trying to recreate the high performance fighter starships they were using in their attacks, and yet another one's trying to recreate the body armor and power armor they're using. Like, would that affect society? And then lastly, are there any living aliens in the first place? Would they be would the aliens have some kind of communication with us? Is there some parity with humanity? Meaning, like, they aren't necessarily worlds above physically or intelligently, like they, much like Alienation. Like, is it possible that the new generation might be more inclined to embrace the aliens versus the old guard, or the ones that were in the military, or the population that had to fight against them and feels no remorse to see them die because their loved ones were killed. But now the aliens are forced to have to live with humanity. Maybe humanity starts to shift a little bit. Maybe we begin to produce like psychic powers or brilliant engineers, or something of that nature. Or maybe certain borders start to break apart. Certain parts of civilization start to reconfigure themselves. Maybe humanity is like, hey, if they can come here, let's take one of their ships and go out there. Maybe there's a way for us to be able to respond in kind. And will there be reinforcements? Is there a fear of this happening again? Will there be a new range of paranoia building because of this one alien invasion? Everyone's like, there could be more happening. Who knows? Yet there may be others that are like, woo, lightning can't strike the same place twice. Okay, we're done with this. Now we should have a realm of peace and prosperity. So I think there's space for us to like start a story, start our game, build our world at the point after the destruction of the alien invaders and whatnot. And we here on Future Friday, we talk. I'm an armchair transhumanist, and I love the settings of like altered carbon and eclipse phase and that kind of thing. The Expanse has aliens in it, and maybe there is even space for us to wonder, in a transhuman world, humanity isn't really recognizable 100 years in the future as it is from 100 years in the past. Maybe the so-called alien invaders aren't necessarily what we think they are, much like what they tried to explain in Prometheus and tried to explain in Tomorrow War is maybe the alien invaders are biological creations from the real aliens that are out there that don't look and act nothing like maybe these bestial things that are overrunning us. Maybe this is a first step colony ship, or it's a probe, or it is meant to arrive to terraform before the real aliens arrive and whatnot. So yeah, Wayne mentions, hey Wayne, so Tomorrow War is an okay movie. I agree. Science fiction isn't science fact. If you follow the science, the odds of aliens ever visiting us is basically zero. Though on the road to infinity, it's a certainty. Exactly. And how many times have we seen, like I love science and futurism with Isaac Arthur, and the he has an entire series of the Fermi paradox, which is what are the chances of, I'm sorry, the mathematically the our galaxy and most galaxies should be full of life, but we have yet to discover alien life. So mathematically speaking, no matter how rare other intelligent life is, it should be out there. So why haven't we seen it? And yeah, like Wayne brings up the fact that though on the road to infinity, it's a certainty, right? But science facts will say that basically we'll never be met by aliens just due to so many other things out there. Like, sure, there might be aliens that have discovered interstellar travel, but they might be so far away that we'll never meet them. Or our society might die out before that other alien race even began, and so on and so forth, but yeah, I agree with you. The Tomorrow War is okay. I think it's a little better than okay. I think to me, the the appreciative individual in me just finds there are things in it that I like, but whatnot. And I agree with you, Wayne. Yeah, I love myself some Isaac Arthur. Yeah, awesome. All right, so Pelora says, if the alien invasion is first contact, you also have the religious implications of it. Oh yes, oh yes. Not religious implications in science fiction are often underplayed off many times, I guess to the detriment of the storytelling, because religiously it's often the religion part of it is often cast aside, like, oh well, because you're religious, you have no uh, your views are insignificant, I guess. And that happens in a lot of role-playing games and a lot of science fiction, because the storytellers are trying to focus their story down on one what if. We as consumers, we give the producers of these great stories, you get one ask, right? In other words, like, if there's one impossibility, we'll give you the one impossibility. You start adding too many impossibilities and it's like, and I think in a real story, I think religion should have a larger impact in it, because I think a lot of people will navigate towards religious beliefs, like about life outside of Earth and where do we fit into the world and things of that nature. So I do agree with you with first contact stories. Absolutely. In ID for Independence Day, the people standing on the rooftops with the take me with you and a religious um, exaltations when they see the alien ship open up, and the energy blast just before it's about to blast, they're sitting there like, yay. I think there'd be a lot of that kind of stuff, everyone buying lots of incense and bleached linen robes and stuff. Yeah. Kylie says the invaders are all buff Chad aliens with 12 packs and lantern jaws, and the actual aliens are little pudgy desk jockeys. uh Sarcasm, but yes, absolutely. I mean, why would you send it's the astronaut problem, right? Like, um astronauts are not a real reflection of what humanity is like. We're pretty messed up. Most of our astronauts are of a nature of both physical and mental they're a little higher on the scale, right? You got a 1 to 10 scale. They're at least a 6.5 plus in all aspects of their lives, And yeah, the aliens might be like, hey, listen, but like meeting someone on the first date, they're like, let's send 1.5 million of our best good looking aliens first, so that on first contact, because when they really see us, they might not like us too much. Oh man. Deadman says Star Trek is fairly accurate with that, as there are only a few hundred inhabited worlds within 10,000 light years of the Sol system. Yeah, absolutely. I think uh, uh, the idea of other inhabited worlds and things like that, like we would probably start colonizing and meeting other uninhabitable worlds and gas giants and nebula and things of that nature before we meet other intelligent life. And then even the thing is that there might be lots of life, but it might all be like microbial, single cell, very rudimentary before we even find another intelligent species. Even so, Star Trek doesn't really go. I mean, because you want to fast forward to the cool stuff. Star Trek doesn't go too often into the we see microbial life, although sometimes it's brought on board and then hilarity ensues. But yeah, absolutely agree with you there on that one. Wayne says, "Oh, that was a big part in Contact. The movie Contact, I think, is well written. Religion, the way it changed society, the sabotage of things. I could see humanity defeating the great evil aliens, and there being maybe saboteurs that are trying to destroy the starships and all this other kind of stuff that we must reject everything alien, or we fall into their trap or something like that. Like I could see that. Hell, people in their own governments might try to rebel against using certain types of technology or trying to analyze their languages and things like that. Yeah, maybe. Zamara says, "You mean like in Mars Attacks, when you had the spiritualists devastated by the invasions because they assumed a peaceful-looking entry to be a peaceful intention?" Yeah, yeah, Mars Attacks. See now. Mars Attacks was a specifically ridiculous-looking movie, so we give it a pass. Unlike the Tomorrow War, which started out pretty serious. Palora's like, sexy aliens is just asking for trouble. Yeah. Oh man, how we change our minds about aliens when they're sexy looking, as if the aliens, purposefully made themselves look that way. Because what if the aliens are like cannibalistic? They're just like, no, we just we're only wearing bikinis because we see that some of your people who look like us wear bikinis. Oh man, yeah. Mike Gould says, despite the failings of the Star Wars sequels, there was some actual written fiction or pre-sequels of what happens when a space empire falls. Local prefects and generals would become warlords, crime lords. I like that idea of of you know, members of, because we're here in the United States, so members of the government, military maybe break off and try to become their own because they were the ones that pointed out the weaknesses in defending the world from an alien invasion. No one would listen, and the public is behind them, and so then you have these like naval officers that are like a couple of battleships and an aircraft carrier and a half working starship with them or something, and having someone break off and become their own, like their own entity of sorts, and there's nothing anyone else can do about it. Yeah, I love it. Oops, let me turn off this graphic here. Sorry about that, guys. Mm-mm, mm-mm. The Mike says, did I miss a I, did I miss a comment? Sorry, that here we go. started out there. Mike says, despite the failings of the Star Wars, oh yes, and it goes on to say would seize lands and equipment, saying like crime lords would seize lands and equipment. Rebels may start breaking up to address their specific goals. Whether, like for example, imagine if there was a let's go with the more spiritualism. So maybe there's technology that allows people to solve food shortages or healing diseases and injuries that we normally wouldn't be able to, but you have to use alien technology to do it. There, I could see a cult built around that kind of thing. Um, absolutely. And then maybe genetic engineering becomes even greater. And then we have the idea of like, are we physically losing our humanity because of modifications to our bodies and our minds and such? Absolutely. Zamaris is also realistically an invasion of intelligent interstellar life before we reach an interstellar age is ant versus nuke. Yeah, 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 one-sided, but with a plot. They would probably keep us as rare zoo things. Like, yeah, Isaac Arthur points out quite often that if an alien species has the ability to get here, most of the things that would have destroyed them, they figured out how to get around it. They're going to be pretty much superior to us, realistically speaking. If they can navigate the, the for us, everything out in space wants to kill us. So if they can navigate all that and get here, they've pretty much surpassed the what our rudimentary nuclear age and going on to like uh, fusion and hell, they might even be like moved up to Kardashev levels, K1, K2 societies, and like humans are just we might be playthings to them, something to just uh, scientifically study like pets or zoo animals or something. Yeah, I definitely agree with Kylie about the we'll make great pets zoo animals. Or what's the short story? Um, we found a book from the aliens after the aliens have given us so much technology, and the book said how to serve man. I know I did that terribly, but yeah, you get the point. Mike Gould says District 9, Independence Day, Avengers 2012 shows us that any alien tech that falls into multiple hands via the Vulture in Homecoming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I actually appreciated like District 9. It should have been a District 10 a couple years after that movie. What a brilliant movie. But District 10 should have already been made. In Avengers, from Spider-Man Homecoming, I'm glad that they actually addressed this idea that they had to get contractors to take apart all the alien technology left from the Shatari invasion or something, and didn't just go, well, aliens were sent back home. We destroyed the alien ship, so all the other ones just fall apart. Hitting the button to make all the other aliens and craft and robots stop. Yeah, to serve man a Twilight Zone. Yeah, it's just surprising. But I like the idea of like things falling into the wrong hands, whether it's like criminals or governments, even rebels. Who, I mean, could you imagine what like mind control or some other insidious technology that falls into the wrong hands? Heck, even governments making treaties with aliens because they were like, oh, you were going to come here to take over the earth. Well, we might work together and do this our way. I could see that a lot. You guys are talking to each other. uh, Mike says BattleTech is also a great setting to see what happens when an empire falls. The fall of the Star League led to the rise of the successor houses. Technology fell into the hands of periphery. uh, and I missed it. Periphery, and led to the rise of the clans as soldiers loyal to the former Star League, and left the inner sphere to create their own societies. You know, I think it goes without saying. I think most of us realize that if we become a multi-planet culture, the new culture on the other planetary surface, once they become independent, is probably going to secede from Earth. I think we all kind of know that will happen. It may not happen immediately, but if the moon, Mars, I don't know, Europa or something like that become self-sufficient, I think we all can agree that they probably can and should separate from Earth and become its own society. Uh, but yeah, now it won't be. It might not be peaceful. It might not be. It'll have its fits and starts, but I think we all can see that. Polaris says all it takes is water or a sneeze, and the invasion is over. Or Head and Shoulders, some Head and Shoulders shampoo. Oh no! Now I think that part of it, like the aliens come to Earth and get sick. I, yes, but no. Right? Like you can't tell me that an alien race that has traveled through the stars hasn't come across other bacteria and now I'm not saying the bacteria couldn't kill them, but they didn't even think about that. I don't know. I think that's problematic. Let's see. Zamar says, I just have to say this: Independence Day 2 is just XCOM the movie. I haven't seen it. I heard it's horrible, and I trust other people's opinions. I don't think it's the dumpster fire that people were saying the Tomorrow War is. I think there's good things in the Tomorrow War, and I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm a Tomorrow War defender, kind of, kind of. Mike says, old school Star Trek, I guess saying, a piece of the action title warned that a communicator landed in the hands of the aliens who could adapt to anything, and they never went back to that. Oh, now that has happened on Star Trek quite a number of times. That has happened quite a number of times, and like Mike says, the Expanse covers this too, as Mars broke away from Earth politically, and I could see like an alien invasion causing us to advance rapidly. And I don't mean us like evolving rapidly, although that like biologically, which could happen as well. But I could see people going like you know what? We thought it might be 5 generations that we might separate, but we've got alien technology. I'm getting the hell out of here now. Like we need to get our independence now. And the even if the technology takes a long time to discover, I think like the gold rush, the oil rush. I think there's some other rushes that happen here, United States: gold, oil, diamonds, uranium. Um, it's not it doesn't matter that you can't use it. The fact that it's there makes the value high, and that in and of itself brings drama because people are going to want to steal that technology whether they could use it or not, simply to get it on their side. Much like the the show Debris that got canceled, which I'm going to repeat over and over again, unfortunately. Which I like the show, but I knew it was one of those impossible premise shows, much like Manifest, where which Manifest got canceled as well. I can't believe Manifest went on for 3 seasons, but Tomorrow War is one of those like great premise, terrible execution, and it fits into it. But Debris was about alien debris falls down to Earth. What happens? And it went into like the political part of it, the special forces, CIA, MI6 getting involved and getting debris and collecting it. Uh, uh, what was the group Influx trying to collect the debris and use it for their own machinations? So yeah, I think you could even run a story like this without any aliens at all. Just the fact that maybe a single starship crashed, and you get into the whole Roswell, Area 51 conspiracies, people claiming that they know why it arrived. But I still think if it was a war effort, with a war effort, you have a lot of the population skilled and paranoid and ready to fight. Zamara says, I think secession depends on a reliable reach of intelligible and fast communication. I agree with that, which means we are theoretically subject to the speed of light for the size of a galactic empire. And yeah, I was about to say Isaac Asimov, who's another brilliant person. Isaac Arthur's channel goes into galactic empires where, because we are limited by the speed of light, if we had a galactic empire, we wouldn't it would we're you could try to go from one end of the empire to the other, and it might take thousands of years, and you may not be recognized as you move along the empire as even being human. Um, yeah, and Samara even continues. It says, and it will have to be an empire. It depends on how much control. I think if a colony on if the moon tried to secede from Earth, I think it would be pretty easy for Earth to like establish our dominance over those individuals. Mars is pretty far away, and it might be pretty pretty difficult to do that. Oh, squirrel warning. Okay. Sorry, Fred. Let me get to the first comment because it might get attention to squirrel warning. Uh, Mike says, "Well, War of the Worlds was written before a lot of modern medical advances." Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. Okay, squirrel warning. The advanced tech of player characters never seems to affect species that do not have such items, like troglodytes and lizard folk. That you know what? That's true. We don't give a lot of magic items to our monsters and have them use it to their greatest benefit, but whatever. So getting back to battle tech, the dark age began because communications broke down all at once. And that might, if you wanted to mix in like, okay, so alien invasion, aliens come to Earth, there's a big war, but what was there? We would have to come up with what was it that they had that was their big what's the ask that we're asking that the aliens had to dominate Earth? Was it just big laser guns? Was it their ability to take apart our communications ability and that we had to go back to ham radios? Was it the ability to very nanotech, or the ability to disgorge, like the Tomorrow War, disgorge biologically created perfect predators onto the Earth? Like, what's the big ask that the aliens had that made them so dominant? And then, lastly, what? How did we win? How did we down that ship? That crash landed in a lake or a mountainside or in a big city. Teetering on its edge. What how did we win? Was it Independence Day and we uploaded a virus? Was it coughing and sneezing or using Head and Shoulders shampoo and they just were like, no, keep keep the hand sanitizer away, it'll destroy us? Like, what was the thing that we had that took them out? um and then lastly, if the aliens were coming here for something, what was it? Do will we ever know? Do they explain it? Were the aliens themselves? Uh, was the advanced force forced to do what they did? Yeah, Tesla's like water in the movie Signs. Was it water? Because it's not like they would see, I don't know, 70% of the Earth with water on it. Now, mind you, we humans are going to go to places, I'm sure, that are going to be hideously dangerous for us to go to. So, would an alien species that's would die from being splashed with water go to a water planet? Sure, but you know, I think they'd probably figure out a way to not get splashed with it instead of walking down dark alleys naked. I don't know, but yeah. And people think the Tomorrow War is trash. Come on. Mike Gould says Alien Invasion Playbook. Step one, wreck communications. Okay, that's a good one. Step two, render the military grounded. Yes, because we always have to have the montage of the blasts, lasers, missiles, whatever it is, energy beams blasting all the air bases and aircraft carriers. Okay. Step three, shock and awe. Okay, so we have to destroy a ton of monuments because the psychologically the destruction of our um, places of power, like a nuclear power plant. Here in the United States, it would be the Capitol building, it would be the White House, it would be New York City, it would be the Hollywood sign. It would be the arch. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's see. In step four, reach out and demand surrender. That's true. That's true. Because that isn't that always at the end of the communications. Like they're on every single cell phone and television screen, and everyone stops and looks up at the television screens for some reason because they're always there, and they're just like, people of Earth, surrender to us, and everyone starts panicking after that. So that's a good playbook. I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot. Uh, like I'm supposed to like it. Vampanoy mentions, what if aliens attack Earth because we canceled a TV series that they formed a religion around? The aliens are like, you keep canceling shows. We need to know the ends. And they gather all the writers together. They're like, you are prophets. You must tell us how life goes on. And they're just, the writers are like, blah, blah, blah. And humanity is like, please write the ending. Actually, humanity would unite with the aliens, like, finish the series. Oh, Tesla, yeah. The plot of Misery, but with aliens. Yes, we will break yet another ankle from your book series. We have seen this in a movie you have broadcast to us called Misery. Yeah, Tesla, I'm with you. No protective suits? Aliens, naked aliens walking around on Earth and no protective suits? Yeah. I know Mike's responding like the Tesla's like, water as a weapon was so stupid. It's not like water is everywhere in the goddamn universe. Yeah, H2O, it's literally made up of, I don't know, comets frozen in planets. It comes in, it's like one of the most, oxygen and hydrogen's like the two most common substances, and together it's like, what? I know, I know. Like I said, Tomorrow War is not that trashy. I'm still defended. Zamara says, I still feel the best way to outright an alien species is to outbreed them. Or outfight an alien species is to outbreed them. If we last longer as a group, we win. And an alien species would likely squick at the idea of genocides. Maybe um, we're not too opposed to genocides ourselves, there, Zamara. So, but yeah, I mean, if they're going to bother traveling a long distance, they're not going to want to genocide the people here, I suppose, unless they're bored or something. I mean, it's a lot of effort. Assuming it's a lot of effort for them to go across the galaxy, I think they might try to stop us. Um, who knows? Maybe we don't know why there was a war in the first place. Maybe the aliens were going to be peaceful, and world governments did some old dumbass bullshit they do, and they're like, oh well, wow, you're going to turn away our gifts. Oh well. Zamar says they would have to have gone through wars themselves. Yep, which means they would have seen a few genocides and created rules against it. Now that's something that we often don't think about with alien invasions. That maybe they solved a lot of the problems that we're going through now before they organize themselves to go into space in the first place. You guys talking about Futurama? I don't remember that one. Isn't that TV series thing the premise of a Futurama episode? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, single female lawyer from Futurama. I don't. There is something in the Futurama about that, about the TV series. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. And I agree that there was, well, we've been sending out radio signals, but I could see an alien species picking up our radio signals. I mean, as silly as it is, in a way, the Transformers are kind of like that. I mean, it was they looked at Earth and all they saw were like automobiles and vehicles. They thought that was the dominant species, and since they were artificial, they took on the shapes and stuff like that. But I don't. What would that look like from our? Well, I guess they would look like Chads, 12-pack Chads, I suppose, from our television and movies and things. Oh man, aliens destroy all the McDonald's in the world. Your God is dead and your places of worship destroyed. We give you this one chance to surrender. Oh no. I think you would have to insert Starbucks in there. Coffee shops. I think you'd have to insert them in there. I mean, the McDonald's do have the golden arches, and you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're there. We've destroyed them, and everyone's just like giving them a slow clap, like, thank you. Oh man, Mickey Mouse. Yeah, yeah. We have your ears. We have your pants with two buttons on the front. Give up now. We don't understand. Why is one dog just a dog and the other dog named Goofy talking? How does a dog own a dog? Your society makes no sense to us. Mike says these aliens were literally fans of Abbott and Costello. Who's on first? Yeah, what's on first? Who's on first? What's on second? Third base. That's what a excellent timeless comedic series. You gotta for those of you who haven't heard the Who's on First, you have to listen to the whole thing. It's brilliant, brilliant. Um, Dead Man says, or a couple seasons back of Legends of Tomorrow, the characters had to star in a half dozen old timey sitcom series. Oh yeah, Legends of Tomorrow. They had yes. Even hell, even WandaVision did that with the first 2 half-hour episodes of WandaVision, done in black and white, an homage to the black and white old timey sitcoms and such. Yeah, Burger King raises his hands in victory. Yes, we are still flame broiled. Yeah, we're getting a little squirrely here. Michael says, I believe that show was a Spielberg jam, Strange Tales or something. That is right. I heard it was coming back, making a comeback. All right, so Vampire says an alien society that values war sees all the alien movies failing to destroy the Earth. Finally, a worthy opponent. Oh man, yes, yes. And Zamara is going down the pathway I'm thinking of because of Vampiroid's comment saying that, oh God, most alien invasions will be just to save humanity from itself, wouldn't it? You're too rare. You really need to stop killing yourselves. Plus, you make good TV. Now sit and write. You know, an alien invasion of saving us from ourselves does make a lot of sense because, and of course, us fighting back against that makes a lot of sense. Because I'm going to put this up here about amazing stories, because it does an alien species that they themselves might be rare in the sense that they understand how rare intelligent life is. They might want allies or individuals to um, bond with, to communicate with, to raise up to their status. And I could see Earth governments going like, "You're not going to tell us what to do. We hell, we don't even like being told what to do when it's in our own best interest, let alone an alien species sending signals down to our leaders going like, "Hey, we have the key to bring world peace, but you're just going to have to follow our instructions." No one's going to sit back and agree to that. So yeah, I mean, since the beginning of time, we haven't listened to our own. We ignore things that are benefit us in our own self interest, even unto death, and such. For yesterday, I was randomly listening to a documentary about breatherism, people who claim are making money as claims that people can live without eating any food and they can live off of light and zen and just the air and whatnot. Yeah, breath. Tessa's right there with me. Yeah, I was listening to a documentary about that, and of course all the people that died and the individuals that got caught and couldn't prove it, and they've been modifying and changing and their breatherism, uh, breatharianism, is it? Yeah, that kind of stuff. I mean, so yeah, we've been, and I'm thinking there's people starving around the world. If you could just live off of air, why wouldn't they have done it? It's the Tarzan thing. Like, why would this white dude come into to Africa and be raised by animals and be the only one out of the millions, tens of millions that already lived here that like it never happened before? Pelor says you could have the invasion force being a rebel faction and the rest of the aliens showing up and are like, sorry about those guys, they're assholes. We had some medicine. That's, you know what, we often think of aliens as a monolith, and the aliens themselves might be like, no, we're not. They tried to portray that uh, in Prometheus, although it didn't work out very well. Zamar says, DBJ, you're right. For how long have we been humanizing animals to the point of wanting to make it so we can easily communicate or uplift them? They would probably do that to us. Yeah. Yes, it's breathalar. Shit. Breath, air, and breath, air, eanism. I know, I was calling breatherism. It's breathanarianism. Oof. Oof. and it's also called something else, and I can't think of it right now, but it's like living off of light or living from light or something of that nature. Yeah, we would. I mean, now mind you, it doesn't mean the aliens, like the aliens trying to uplift humanity, it might be kind of forceful, right? Like it doesn't mean that like we, to them they might not think of it as violent, but to us we would think about it much, you know, alien probing, being captured. There was a television show called Colony, not The Colony. It was just called Colony, and aliens came down and like separated people into these little communities, and no one knew why they were doing it. I didn't see the show, but it might be something like that. Like they might try to make Earth into a zoo of some sort. So, and we fighting against the idea of what's going on, like our main protagonists, our characters might be trying to discover, like, what are the aliens up to? We don't understand what they're doing. They have a purpose. We just don't understand what the purpose is. Mike's Gould is playing on Star Trek DS9 and Eberron. An alien empire might be a force of symbiotes requiring hosts to inhabit worlds or spread their culture. When their empire starts to fall, all they desire is hosts. Making aliens alien is kind of difficult, especially if we want them to be the protagonists themselves. Alien symbiotes, alien hosts, aliens that are so biologically different than us that it's hard for us to understand how they talk and look and listen. We are judgmental, right? An alien that looks like a rabbit is going to be, we're going to embrace that far sooner than the alien looks like a cockroach, you know. So that's it. Yeah, sorry to bring the breathanarianism up, but Mike says if people could live on air, we wouldn't have famines. Kook spreading kook theories. Yep, it's called starvation and death. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. But who's to say that something like that wouldn't? We already have cults dedicated to that kind of thing. Aliens would ramp that kind of pseudoscience, ramp that so far that I think people would do the, hey, we can defy gravity by just jumping off of buildings, and the only reason you went splat was because you didn't believe, you know. um I Anidia, or Latin for fasting, or breatharianism, is the claimed ability for a person to live without consuming food, and in some cases water. Now, you know, that's taking something, we all know that's taking something too far. We know people benefit from meditation and relaxation techniques and yoga. Yoga is healthy and things like that, but you know, whatever. It's like, These are people making money. That's what it is. Or they want to be surrounded by sycophants or something. We understand that. Tesla says it's a deadly pseudoscience, and several adherents of these practices have died from starvation or dehydration. It is an established fact that humans require food and water or nutrients to survive. Yep, exactly. Exactly. And like my fact would be, so how do you explain all the other starving people in the world? Like none of them have even considered, you know what I mean? Like that would be my thing. Wayne says, as Carlin said, oh, Carlin was a brilliant comedian. Yeah. Think about how stupid the average person is, and then realize half of them are even stupider than that. Leaves a lot of room to sell idiotic beliefs. Yeah, an alien invasion force or at least humans who take it upon themselves to start like an alien worshiping kind of cult, I think would be a thing that happened in two television shows that use that kind of premise a little bit. The series V and the other series with the Synod. Oh, now I can't remember it now. Wow, wow. A Gene Roddenberry show. There were adherents to the alien way of doing things, and our main protagonists were like trying to find the loopholes, trying to find like the hidden. They're helping humanity out. Like, what do they really want? Mike says a symbiote may be an intelligent gas. Breathing them in bonds you, unless you're a breatharian moron. Then they reject the bond because the host is batshit crazy. Earth final conflict. Thank you, Tesla. Earth final conflict. Yes, the Synod came to Earth to save Earth from an even more terrible alien invasion, and they had to do it quickly, so they had to dominate Earth. Anyway, yes. I think they drill a hole in the Earth and were going to use the Earth's core as a weapon to blast the aliens, or it was something weird like that. Man, I can't remember. Zamara says, I don't know. There is an anime with half aliens that are anthropomorphic roaches, like Terraformars. I would definitely want to be one of them. They're super smart and super jacked. You think so? Now, not you. I'm saying, you think the average person would embrace a roach rather than a rabbit looking alien? I don't know. I think we're pretty. I think we're pretty base and surface level as a culture, as humans. Things that look cute are better than things that are ugly. No. X Files addresses that an invasion of intelligent species might use an insect-like species or robot to scout the world. And I think all of this, all the like aliens come to Earth. Maybe there's a battle of some sort. Maybe it's decisive. Maybe we struck back at the aliens that were they were purporting themselves to be more powerful than they really were. District 9 kind of brought that up. So did Alien Nation, where the Alien Nation aliens come to Earth, but they were really just enslaved. District 9 aliens came to Earth. We don't really even understand why they had alien weaponry but didn't use it. It could be any number of things that happened to them. It could have been things that we would encounter, like radiation, or a genetic disorder, or inbreeding, or something like that happened. Ran out of fuel, or something. So, but I love the idea of different factions and the player characters needing to navigate through this world in which they have to worry about politics and religion and and pseudoscience. And you could very easily do this Monster of the Week style, where the players are investigators, or each mission is them uncovering a thing, and like, hey, is this brand new cult leader, are they real, or do they have some of this technology and they're using it to they're using the technology to read people's minds, and they're pretending to be an oracle, but really it's because they have a device in their back pocket, right? And confiscating that device, and or shutting the cult leaders down or something. Maybe the cult leader has been infected by an alien species, and the alien species is like, I'm going to have to hide myself. I know what I can do. I'll pretend to be a cultist as because I'm an alien centipede that crawled inside of someone's nose or something, and all that combined together would be pretty fun. Pretty fun. Mm-mm-mm. Polar says, could you imagine what happens when an alien sees an octopus? That'll mess with you. Unless the aliens find octopi to be a relative. Hmm. That would be interesting. There's a documentary about everything I learned, my octopus friend or something like that. I have to see that one. Wayne says, Carlin was a social observer and commentator who delivered it as comedy. Probably an alien social scientist trying to teach the apes. Yes. Yes. Great comedians are tend to be depressed because they see things in the world for what they are, and it's a sad state of affairs. That's why so many comedians tend to suffer from depression. Zamar says, I don't deny that, but super smart and super jacked. It's an undeniable fact that gets you further in life than just pleasant to humanity. You know, I'm sorry. It's an undeniable fact that gets you further in life. Humanity, go to horny jail now. That is true. That is true, because if aliens looked like smooth, uh, um, ripped ab, smooth bodied, sexually appealing humans, there wouldn't be a war. We would just be like, hey, how you doing there? And the aliens are like, we're going to eat you. And they're like, yeah, I hope so. You know what I mean? Like, we're pretty base. I mean, you'd have to have a number. You'd have to have a number of deaths before people would even realize it. And even then, they're just like, oh, I don't think they're going to eat me. I know they ate 27 other people. I don't think I'll be number 28. I think they'll like me instead. Although all of the incels might become superheroes. I don't know. Mike Gould says, Dennis Leary had a bit about how humans judge beasts based on their look. Like, oh, it's a bunny. Here, have a carrot. Cal, what about me? You're a steak. Yeah, we do that. We do that a lot. No one likes experiments on rabbits, but hornets, roaches, flies, nobody cares about them. I mean, we're starting to warm up to sharks, but even those are just like, well, long as you stay on your side of the ocean, we're fine. Mike says there's a shamanic belief in Hawaii, I believe, where octopi and squid are survivors of the last world. Ask yourself, are they aliens or are we? Ooh, aliens come to Earth to reclaim the people they seeded on this planet in the first place. Maybe it was an accident, or maybe they did it on purpose and we're like, yeah, you guys lost your way. Maybe all of the crop circles, the pyramids, the Bermuda Triangle, all that stuff was from an alien species, and we are the aliens species. Well, yep. Zamara brings up panspermia, says that we all are alien. Yes, panspermia, the idea that most, if not all, life in the universe came from biological material spread through like um, planetary impacts from asteroids, comets, things of that nature. So technically, yeah, I mean, we would in there's a good chance that biologically we're related to other life out there in some way, shape, or form, or at least you could trace it probably back to single cell organisms. Because isn't like our mitochondria, doesn't that come from an invasive species that happened to help us out? Something like that. I can't. It's on the tip of my brain. But yes, I think like mitochondria is an accident that happen to help us become one of the things that help us become who we are. But anyway, guys, we've come to the end here. I know we talked a lot. We talked in the giant circles, but I love you guys know I love things in the middle. Like, what happens next? How about what stories do we tell instead of just aliens? We fight them, they fight us. There's a lot more stories to tell, whether it's through espionage and corporations are trying to cover things. There's a rebel faction that's been taken over by aliens. Maybe those aliens have literally, like cockroaches, scattered into the shadows of our world, and the PCs are now out to hunt them down. Maybe the aliens are working with humanity, and the PCs, our protagonists, and going after the detractors and understanding that, yeah, there is a better way. Maybe there really is peace. Like, could you imagine? I don't know what it would be like for an alien species to attach something to someone's brain and go, here's what ultimate peace looks like. Because we've achieved it. And the player character's like, I don't even know how to describe it, but I know what it looks like. And we have to get to that point. Hey, we discovered a new governmental system that's perfectly fair to everyone. And like, what does that look like? The PCs are like, I can't even describe it to you. It's so good. Mike says, getting back to the fallen empire, octopi and squid are the survivors of the last empire. One day, the advanced species will return to claim their fallen brothers. Vis-a-vis Star Trek 4. Yep. That would be sweet. Scary, because, tentacles, but sweet. Cthulhu, yeah. Zamara says, are you going the Cthulhu route with that thought process? We're all the byproduct of an experiment long forgotten about. Yeah, we're the playthings. And the octopi and squid are like, yeah, we've been monitoring them. Yeah, I mean, they're terrible. Look at all the trash they've dumped into our oceans. Yeah, there's only 30% of the land left. We're gonna have to flood all that, dump it into the ocean. Pelora says, yeah, mitochondria is what happens when a cell eats a bacteria but doesn't digest it. I remembered that. That's right. That is right. Wow, I can't believe I actually had a piece of information. Deadman says, like XCOM 2, there were aliens that were intent on conquering the galaxy, and some of them rebelled with the help of humankind. And that would be a very difficult but awesome thing to have in a game where the player characters know there's aliens out there and they really don't know, like, are they friends? Are they allies? Are they enemies? Which faction are they? What if there's multiple? If there's a galactic empire and there's multiple aliens, that even makes things more complicated. Especially if, could you imagine, instead of different, and by the way, a long-time supporter of the channel, Vince Shine, actually created a role-playing game about this. So I'm stealing the idea, kind of. But imagine if all the aliens are symbiotic in some nature. Like, some are things you breathe in, others are bacteria, yet more are like the proverbial insect on the back of the head, or there's ones that make a sound that dominates your mind, and each player character choice, each protagonist is a version of a symbiotic creature or something like that. Yeah. Maybe. Wayne says, smash that like button, and thank you, DBJ and guests, for another brilliant talk. Y'all alien freaks. Yeah, we're gonna leave on that. Although the other comments are up here, up to the, damn it, to the side of me here. Guys, thank you so much for just being part of the show. Thank you very much. Yeah, hit the like button, like, share, subscribe. By the way, just to let you know, I did lose subscribers from the week we did the whole gender thing. They can go kiss my ass if you can't have an honest conversation. So what the hell ever. That doesn't upset me. What is interesting, though, is that we're coming up to a giant Kickstarter from N-World. I think yesterday I was listening to a long broadcast from Sly Flourish, who's talking about Level Up 5e and whatnot. And as we're getting close to that, maybe the channel might start to grow a little bit as a side effect. So I'm hopefully I'll be prepared for that. Uh, Maybe, guys. Everybody have a great one. Yeah, I'm with you, Z. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, ooh, ooh. There it is. Yeah. You will find new and better ones. No. Yes, I would rather be with quality people who are willing. I mean, hell, if you don't like what I have to say, you can always join in on the channel, and like, it's not like I'm not going to read your comments out. That's the whole point. Um, that is the whole point. And thank you, Dead Man, about Level Up 5e. The Kickstarter starts in October 5th, but I guarantee you it's going to ramp up. And if you have any interest, if you're a 5th edition person, gamer or something, and you're like, what is this? Isn't it just Pathfinder? Actually, all the playtest materials out and the surveys. Like, you don't have to sit back and wait. So yeah. Yeah. Polar says you're my only Bell channel, DBJ. Don't worry about the unsubs. No, it's a culling. It, it's a sad day. Is actually what I think of it. Like, it's like you do realize, like, you could actually. I don't know. I just have a problem today where we are we are a trigger society, and it leaves very little open for discussion, even if people disagree. Right? Like, um, having a discussion and being going like I the thing is, I can see other people's points and still disagree with them, but I understand where they're coming from, and that means that there's common ground. What is it? Declaration of Independence or something like. Um, I disagree with everything you have to say, and I'll die for your ability to say it or something. I don't know. Was it Thomas Jefferson or something like that? Mm-mm-mm. Z says, I'm finally getting my Eclipse Phase 2 and Delta Green books next week. I really wish I could go into the mechanics of. Dude, that'd be too. When I retire in like 6 years, this will probably become like not my full time job, but I'll be able to dedicate more time to it. Maybe I'll be able to. Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much there. Yeah, I got to head off to work, which is really weird. But guys, have a great one. I'm around the corner from work, so thank you so much. Have a great one. Next week, we'll think about what we're going to do next week. I know there's plenty of things that you guys have mentioned. Yeah, squirrel, get to work. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace. There it is. I don't agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Thanks, Tesla. Thank you so much.